Welcome to the deep dive. And thanks for tuning in for this custom analysis we've put together just for you. Today, we're getting into something that might just be well, the single most uncomfortable truth in leadership and in team performance, really.
It's definitely uncomfortable because, it means we have to look at ourselves, not just point fingers elsewhere. We're trying to move past those easy excuses. Oh, people are apathetic, or we just don't have the talent, or they need more motivation.
Right. Those are kind of the go-to explanations, aren't they?
They are. But our deep dive today, it points to a much sharper diagnosis. If your team feels stuck, if they're constantly fighting fires and performance is low, the real issue, the structural issue, is almost certainly not the people themselves.
So it's not a people problem, it's a system problem. Specifically, you're saying it comes down to the leader's own operating system.
That's exactly it. Our mission today is to really dig into how the most dedicated leader, the one putting in 80-hour weeks, the firefighter, the person our sources call the leader hero, how that person can, without meaning to, become the main architect of their team's total dependency.
And eventually lead to organizational failure. That's the paradox.
That's the core conflict, yes. The leader hero, they genuinely believe they're the glue holding everything together. But the structural reality, which our sources really lay bare, is that they are systematically draining the lifeblood out of their teams.
What do you mean by lifeblood exactly?
I mean those three crucial elements: energy, autonomy, and purpose. Without those, no team can truly thrive. The leader ends up managing, well, basically a depletion zone.
Wow. Okay. And we're basing this analysis heavily on a central narrative called La tragedia de ser indispensable, the tragedy of being indispensable.
That's right. And we're supporting that with structural insights into what we're calling the cadena causal fraso. That's the causal chain of failure. It's the mechanism, the step-by-step process, showing how good intentions can actually pave the road to, well, institutional destruction.
Okay, this sounds heavy but crucial. Let's unpack where this leader hero figure even comes from. So let's start at the beginning, because like you said, the leader hero isn't usually malicious. They're often the most committed person there.
Absolutely. Often they got promoted because they were just brilliant technically. They were amazing at solving problems within the business operations.
But not necessarily trained to design the system itself, right? To make it resilient.
Exactly. They were rewarded for technical skill and sheer effort, not for leadership architecture. The sources call this the nacimiento involuntario del hero, the unintentional birth of the hero.
Unintentional? How so?
Think about their early days. A tough problem comes up. What do? They didn't wait around. They didn't form a committee. They just jumped in. I'll fix it.
And they probably saw their own bosses doing the same thing, running around, looking exhausted but essential.
Precisely. They saw that exhaustion was almost like a badge of honor. And they internalized this incredibly costly lesson, one that the organization probably praised them for. Ser valioso es igual a ser irreemplazable.
Being valuable equals being irreplaceable.
Yes. The belief becomes, if I'm not constantly putting out fires, if I'm not the go-to person, then I'm not really proving my worth.
And that belief, that's the seed, the toxic seed you called it.
It is, because it fundamentally ties the organization's success to the leader's personal bandwidth, their personal presence, not to the strength of the system they've built. It sets the stage for dependency.
And you mentioned this gets reinforced daily.
Oh, absolutely. Through what the sources call the ritual de la crisis diaria, the daily crisis ritual. Picture this. It's, say, 4:03 p.m., everyone's tired, deadline looming, and bam, critical failure. Server crash, key client complaint, production line stops, something big.
Okay. And the team, they freeze up.
Yeah, they freeze. They've tried the basics maybe, but it's high stakes. They're scared to make the wrong call, so they look at the leader, maybe a little panicked, waiting. Just waiting for direction.
And the hero leader, what's their move?
Instinct kicks in. Instead of coaching, instead of asking, okay, team, what are our options? What do you recommend? Which, takes time, requires trust. The leader cuts right through that.
They jump in.
They jump in. They say, permítame, esto es más rápido si lo hago yo. Let me handle it. It's faster if I do it myself.
Ah, the classic line. Faster if I do it.
Exactly. So they bypass protocol, maybe make a few calls, send some urgent emails, and boom, 15 minutes later, the fire's out. Crisis averted.
And they feel
amazing. There's that adrenaline rush. They're the Salvador, the savior. They feel indispensable, validated.
There's a but.
because they go home late, exhausted, carrying the weight of everything, and that little voice in their head gets stronger. That confirmation bias kicks in hard. Si no fuera por mí, esto no funciona. If it weren't for me, this place would fall apart.
And that thought traps them.
It absolutely traps them. It condemns them to repeat that exhausting firefighting cycle day after day, because the reward feeling indispensable outweighs the long-term cost.
So the core diagnosis here, structurally speaking, it's not about their lack of esfuerzo, their effort. They're putting in tons of effort.
Tons. Maybe more than anyone. The problem isn't esfuerzo, it's the modello. The model, the structure they've inadvertently created.
A structure designed to need them constantly.
Precisely. Which makes the leader themselves the bottleneck. The company's capacity becomes tied directly to their personal, non-scalable, 24-hour-a-day bandwidth.
That's the paradox, isn't it? The very thing that made them seem like a hero, their dedication, their ability to fix anything becomes the system's biggest vulnerability.
Exactly. If the company only works when you're personally intervening in every crisis, you haven't built a business. You've built an endurance test for yourself. Your heroism becomes the fatal flaw.
Okay, that really sets the stage. So let's move into the deeper diagnosis. We need to start blaming the team's supposed lack of energy or initiative.
Right. And there's a quote from our sources that just nails this shift in perspective. You don't have apathetic people. You have people exhausted by your system.
Wow, let that sink in. Apathetic implies they don't care. Exhausted implies they did care.
They did. They cared. They tried. But the system itself, the one designed by the leader, made it impossible or pointless for them to be effective or efficient.
So we need to start trying to fix the people that's just treating symptoms.
And start fixing the structure, the root cause.
So how does this systemic breakdown actually happen? This is where that cadena causal comes in, the causal chain of failure.
Exactly. It's not just random stuff going wrong. It's a predictable chain reaction. It shows how the leader's internal belief, often a well-intentioned but flawed one, translates directly into specific behaviors.
The hero behavior.
Right, which then generates a specific type of muda waste or friction.
Okay, muda. Let's define that quickly.
Sure. It's a concept from lean thinking, often translated as waste or desperdicio. But here, it's broader than just physical scrap. It's anything that eats up time, resources, or crucially, emotional energy without adding any real value to the end product or service.
Like waiting for approvals, reworking things, unnecessary steps.
All classic examples. Waiting's a huge one. Rework, unnecessary movement, overprocessing information nobody needs. It's all muda.
And you mentioned muda is just one type of inefficiency.
It is. Just briefly, there's also mura, which is unevenness, like wild swings in workload, and muri, which is overburdening people or equipment. But the leader hero is a master creator of muda, friction, delay, wasted potential.
Okay, so leader belief, hero behavior, muda. What comes next?
That muda, that constant friction, directly attacks the team's salario-emotional, their emotional side.
Emotional salary, so the non-monetary rewards.
Exactly. The things that actually keep people engaged beyond the paycheck. Things like autonomy, the ability to make decisions, psychological safety, feeling safe to speak up or make mistakes, purpose, feeling like your work matters, work-life balance.
But when that emotional salary gets depleted by all the muda,
People check out. They might still show up, but they stop giving their discretionary effort, their best thinking. And this leads to the final link in the chain, the observable organizational vital sign. The symptom everyone complains about, like low morale or high turnover.
got it. Belief, behavior, muda, emotional salary destroyed. A symptom, a clear chain.
A predictable destructive chain. Let's walk through the four main ones the sources identify.
Okay, chain one. This feels like the classic micromanagement chain. What's the core leader belief here?
It's often disguised as a commitment to quality. Only I can guarantee it's done right, or nobody else understands the nuances like I do.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, it's an inability to delegate trust, not just tasks.
And the hero behavior that follows.
Total centralization. The leader becomes the bottleneck. Every important decision, sometimes even really minor ones, has to go through them. They have to sign off on everything.
So the team learns pretty quickly.
They learn their input doesn't really matter that much. Their initiative hits a brick wall.
Let's talk about the muda this generates. It's obvious, right? Waiting.
Waiting is huge. Pure delay. Think about a simple $100 software purchase that could save the team hours. If that request sits on the leader's desk for days because they're busy fighting other fires, that's massive waste of waiting. The team is stuck.
But there's a deeper waste too, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. It's the waste of unused human potential. All that brain power sitting idle while they wait. They could have solved 10 other small problems in that time. Instead, their energy goes into frustration, maybe complaining.
And the team belief that forms.
It's pretty soul-crushing. Look, it's just not worth proposing anything ambitious or even slightly complex. The boss is going to change it or make the final call anyway, so why bother?
So the emotional salary element destroyed here is clearly autonomy.
Completely. They feel like order takers, not thinkers or contributors, just cogs in the machine.
And the final organizational vital sign, the symptom we see.
Stagnation. Or estancamiento, as the source puts it. The system is literally designed for paralysis. Initiative dries up because proactive effort just leads to waiting and frustration. Okay, chain 2. This one's fueled by fear, specifically the leader's fear of mistakes, which makes them need to find someone to blame when things go wrong.
So the leader belief is basically that accountability equals finding the culprit, not finding the systemic cause.
Exactly. It's a very simplistic view. Someone must be responsible for this screw-up.
And the hero behavior that comes from that.
Punishing errors, often harshly. It could be really obvious, like public shaming in a meeting, or it could be more subtle, like yanking someone off a project the second they hit a snag, sending a clear message. Mistakes are not tolerated.
And the team learns.
They learn survival comes first. Self-preservation becomes a primary goal.
Which leads to the team belief.
A very simple defensive one. If I admit this mistake, if I tell the truth about what went wrong, I'm going to get hammered. So I better hide it, or spin it, or point fingers elsewhere.
Okay, now the muda generated here, this feels insidious.
It's incredibly insidious. What happens? Defects get hidden. Problems get swept under the rug. So the same mistakes happen again and again because the organization never learns.
It loses the chance to learn from its failures.
Exactly. All that energy that could go into root cause analysis and fixing the actual process flaw, it gets diverted into managing appearances, into elaborate cover-ups, into making sure the blame lands somewhere else. The system becomes blind.
And the emotional salary destroyed.
Yeah.
Psychological safety gone.
Completely gone. You can't innovate, you can't experiment, you can't even raise a potential problem if you think you'll be punished for it. Risk-taking becomes unthinkable.
Which leads directly to the organizational vital sign.
Frozen innovation. Innovation congelata. The organization just plays it safe. Mediocrity becomes the comfortable norm because the cost of trying something new and potentially failing is just way too high.
Chain 3. This is the martyr leader, right? The one who seems like the hardest worker ever.
Yeah, the one who wears exhaustion like a badge of honor. The core leader belief here is a dangerous confusion. They equate visible effort staying late, sending emails at midnight, working weekends with actual results and value.
Presence equals productivity in their mind.
Pretty much. And so their hero behavior is actively rewarding sobrio esfuerzo. That's overexertion, wear and tear. They celebrate the person who sacrifices their personal life, who sends that 2 a.m. email, hailing them as the model of commitment.
Regardless of whether that late night work was actually necessary or effective.
Exactly. It's the appearance of effort that gets rewarded.
So the team belief becomes.
It becomes toxic. Okay, what gets noticed and rewarded around here isn't actually getting things done efficiently. It's looking tired. It's performing exhaustion.
So if I finish my work efficiently by 4 p.m.,
you might actually be penalized. It could look like you don't have enough work, or worse, that you're not as committed as the person struggling until 8 p.m. So you learn to perform busyness.
Which leads to the muda. What kind of waste is this?
It's sobrio esfuerzo itself. It's wasted energy spent purely on generating the appearance of hard work. People start making simple tasks look complex. They pad their hours. They schedule pointless late meetings. They respond to non-urgent emails late at night just to show they're on.
Performative busyness. Wow.
It's all effort spent managing perceptions, managing the boss's flawed definition of commitment instead of actually creating value.
And the emotional salary destroyed here is obviously work-life balance.
Obliterated. Not just for the people buying into it, but for everyone who feels pressured to keep up appearances.
Leading to the organizational vital sign.
Endemic burnout. Just widespread exhaustion, and underneath it, a really deep, corrosive cynicism. People realize the system doesn't value smart work or sustainable results. It values visible suffering. All right, the final chain. Chain 4. This one often feels the most frustrating because it's where the leader kind of absolves themselves of responsibility for the mess created by the first 3 chains.
So what's a leader belief?
It's the ultimate deflection. Look, the problem isn't my system, which is clearly breaking people. The problem is my people just have a bad attitude or they lack discipline. They externalize the failure.
So when things inevitably go wrong because the system is flawed, their hero behavior is.
To blame the team, to demand even more effort from people who are already running on fumes, already tangled up in the muda from the other chains. Just try harder, be more committed.
While ignoring the chains dragging them down.
Exactly. It's asking them to run faster while ankle deep in mud.
And the team belief this creates, that sounds truly awful.
It's devastating. It becomes, it's never enough. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I work, it's always wrong. I'm always falling short. It just crushes any remaining sense of competence or self-worth.
So what's the final muda generated here?
The sources call it movimiento innecesario, unnecessary movement. But it's bigger than just physical movement. It's activity totally disconnected from meaningful results.
Like what?
Like generating mountains of evidence of effort. If results will always be criticized anyway, the only way to protect yourself is to prove how hard you tried. So you get busy work, filling out reports nobody reads, creating documentation just for show, all aimed at CYA covering your actions for the next time the blame game starts.
Activity completely detached from value, focused only on self-preservation.
Precisely.
And the emotional salary destroyed. It feels like the last straw.
It is. It's purpose.
But
The why behind the work just evaporates. Why bother putting your heart into something if it's always judged inadequate and the system itself is the problem?
leading to the final organizational vital sign.
Massive hidden costs.
Yep.
And just pervasive, deep systemic frustration. This shows up as high turnover, sure, but also as that quiet quitting phenomenon, people doing the bare minimum to survive, offering zero creativity or extra effort because the purpose is gone.
Wow. Okay, these four chains paint a really clear picture. Stagnation, frozen innovation, burnout, hidden costs. They aren't just random issues.
Not at all. They are the predictable, designed, even if unintentionally designed outcomes of a leadership system built around the leader hero. The system requires these problems to sustain the hero's role.
So we really need to face the costs of keeping this hero model going. It's not just inefficient, it sounds actively destructive.
It is. And the price isn't just paid today, it accumulates, leading to potentially catastrophic costs down the line. We need to be brutally honest about this.
Okay, let's break down that price, looking at the immediate versus the future cost. First up, your personal life, the Veda personal. Today's cost seems obvious. No time, right?
Right. Quality time with family, friends, even just for yourself. It gets replaced by constant work anxiety, guilt about not working, checking emails at dinner, the usual suspects.
But the future cost, what does that look like?
It can be profound. Deep resentment from loved ones who consistently came second to the demands of the business, and honestly, a kind of deep solitude. If your entire identity and self-worth got wrapped up in being the indispensable fixer, what's left when the fixing stops or the business falters?
A stark picture. Okay, second area, your team to Equipo. What's the cost today?
Today, your best people leave. The ones with initiative, the critical thinkers, the potential future leaders, they get frustrated by the lack of autonomy, the lack of purpose, the constant firefighting, and they walk.
Or they stay, but...
Or they stay, but they check out mentally, they become passive, compliant. They learn to just follow orders because challenging the hero or showing initiative is either pointless or punished.
And the future cost to the team and the culture.
Devastating. You end up cultivating a culture of dependency and, frankly, long-term mediocrity. The system unintentionally filters out independent thinkers and selects for followers, people who won't challenge the hero's control.
So innovation becomes structurally impossible down the line.
Exactly. You've systematically removed the people most likely to drive it.
Okay, third area, and this feels like the bottom line. Your company to Empresa, the cost today.
Today, your growth is fundamentally capped. It's capped by your personal capacity. The leader is the bottleneck. The company literally cannot scale beyond what you can personally oversee, manage, and fix in a 24-hour day.
And the future cost. This sounds like the big one?
It is. It's El Collapso, total collapse. The moment the leader needs to step back, maybe they get sick, maybe they want to retire, maybe they just need a break, the entire structure is at risk.
Because the system was built around them.
Because they were the system. And the source material puts it chillingly. Tu empresa morirá contigo. Your company will die with you.
Wow, that's sobering. And you mentioned a real-world example, Calzado Canada.
Yes, it's a powerful cautionary tale. Calzado Canada was, for decades, this huge, iconic Mexican footwear company, a real giant.
And the founder?
The founder Salvador Lopez Chavez was the absolute archetype of the leader hero. Incredible vision, unbelievable work ethic, totally committed, involved in every single detail. And he built an empire during his lifetime. He was immensely successful while he was there.
But
But his success was built on his personal heroic effort. His operational model was him. It wasn't a robust, independent system.
so when he was no longer there.
The structure couldn't cope. It lacked the built-in mechanisms to adapt, to make decisions effectively, to respond to market changes without his central guidance. It needed him to function.
And the result.
The company se diluyó. It just kind of dissolved over time, faded away. The tragic lesson is that all his incredible sacrifice, all that trabajo, that massive effort and job he created, didn't build a lasting systema, a self-sustaining system. It built something that depended entirely on him.
That distinction, trabajo versus sistema, feels absolutely critical.
It's everything.
So the question for you, the listener, becomes, do you want all your hard work, all your sacrifice, to end up like that? A company that crumbles when you step away?
Do you want your legacy to be the perpetually exhausted bombero, the firefighter, remembered for running around frantically? Or do you want to be the arquitecto, the architect, who designs something strong, something resilient, something that could outlast you and thrive for generations?
Okay, so if the hero model is the trap, what's the way out? How do you become that architect?
It requires a fundamental shift, a shift in mindset and a shift in operation. You have to move from being the hero focused on direct control, on doing the tasks, to being the architect focused on contextual control, on designing the system.
So the architect doesn't jump in to solve the problem.
No. The architect designs the environment, sets the boundaries, clarifies the goals, refines the processes so that the team can solve the problems effectively themselves. The architect works on the system, not constantly in the system.
That sounds like a huge shift. How do you actually make it happen? Is there a blueprint?
There is. We can think of it in steps. Blueprint step 1, redesigning your core beliefs about control. This is non-negotiable. You can have all the best tools and processes, but if that deep-seated hero belief, I have to save the day, is still running the show internally, you'll sabotage any new system.
So what's the new belief you need?
You have to genuinely, truly commit to believing that your team, given the right structure, the right resources, and crucially, psychological safety can and often will come up with solutions that are just as good, if not better, than yours alone.
That sounds like letting go of ego.
It is. It's shifting from I am the smartest person in the room to my job is to design a room where smart people can do their best work. That's not weakness. It's actually a much higher level of leadership competence system design.
Okay, belief shift first. What's step 2?
Blueprint step 2, implementing protocols of non-intervention, P&Is. These are the guardrails, formal rules, actual structures you put in place, specifically designed to stop yourself, the leader, from defaulting back to hero behavior. And just as importantly, they force the team to practice new habits of autonomy and problem solving.
Okay, give us some examples. How would a P&I work against, say, chain 1, that centralization problem?
Okay, great example. To combat centralization and the waste of waiting, you implement the solutions required, P&I.
Solutions required P&I. What's the rule?
The rule is simple but strict. Do not bring me a problem unless you have already thought through at least 3 potential solutions. Come prepared to discuss the pros, cons, and resource needs for each.
Okay, that immediately changes the dynamic. No more just dumping problems on the leader's lap.
Exactly. It forces the team to engage their brains before they escalate.
But what about the pushback? What if the leader says, but sometimes they genuinely don't know the solutions? Am I supposed to just let things burn while they flounder? That feels like the hero instinct kicking back in.
That's the perfect question, because the architect's answer is, that's precisely where coaching starts, not where intervention starts. If they come with 0 solutions, your response isn't, okay, here's what we'll do. It's, okay, what are 3 resources, people, or pieces of information you need to find potential solutions? Let's figure that out.
So you shift from solution provider back to coach and resource provider.
Exactly. You stop the mood of them waiting for your answer, and you start adding value by helping them build their own capability.
Yeah.
This P&I transforms crises into coaching moments.
Okay, powerful. What about chain 2, the punishment culture that kills psychological safety? How does a P&I tackle that?
For that, you implement the root cause analysis, RCA P&I.
RCA P&I.
Rule. The rule has to be ironclad to fight that blame instinct. No failure or mistake can be discussed in terms of who was responsible until a formal, rigorous RCA focused only on system and process flaws, not individual blame, has been completed and reviewed.
Okay, focus on the what and why of the system failure, not the who.
Precise?
But again, potential problem. Couldn't a team just do a really superficial RCA to tick the box and avoid getting yelled at? How do you ensure it's meaningful?
Great point. The P&I has to mandate rigor. You might require using a specific methodology like the 5 whys to force deeper digging. And the leader's role in reviewing the RCA isn't to find blame, but to assess the depth of the analysis. Did they truly get to a systemic root cause, a flawed process, unclear instructions, lack of resources, or did they stop at Bob wasn't paying attention?
So the leader enforces the quality of the RCA process itself.
Yes, it systematically blocks the punishment reflex and forces the organization to actually learn and improve its systems after every single failure.
Makes sense. Okay, one more chain 3, rewarding fatigue, the sober esfuerzo problem. How do you fight that with the P&I?
This one requires a real cultural statement, the efficiency metric P&I.
Efficiency metric P&I. Rule.
The rule is performance evaluations, recognition, maybe even promotions, must explicitly include a measurable demonstration of efficiency. That means rewarding the ability to deliver high-quality results consistently within standard working hours.
That sounds tricky to measure without becoming Big Brother. How do you track sustainable performance?
It's less about tracking hours minute by minute and more about outcomes and process improvement. Are they meeting goals without perpetual crisis mode? Are they improving processes to make work easier next time, not just heroically powering through? You make it clear, culturally, that the highest praise goes to the team that hits the target and finishes on time, not the team that hits the target by pulling 3 all-nighters.
So you're rewarding smart work and sustainability over visible suffering.
Explicitly, the architect values the person who designs themselves out of unnecessary work next quarter, not the person who martyrs themselves doing that unnecessary work today. It's a direct counter to the martyr culture.
Got it. Beliefs, then P&Is. What's the final step in the blueprint?
Blueprint Step 3. Transforming leadership into a self-sustaining system. This is the end game. The goal is to build a system where these principles, autonomy, safety, efficiency, become embedded, where the system itself, guided by the P&Is and the culture, solves most problems at the right level without needing the leader's constant, frantic intervention.
So the system starts to run itself based on the architect's design.
Exactly, which leads to a completely different way of measuring the leader's success.
How so?
The success of the architect leader isn't measured by how many fires they personally put out this week. It's measured by how few problems even needed their intervention because the system they designed handled them smoothly, efficiently, and effectively at a lower level.
That's the ultimate proof the system works.
That is the definition of a true, scalable, and lasting leadership legacy. Not indispensability, but creating independence. Hashtag, outro.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the tragedy of the indispensable leader. The big takeaway for me is just how undeniable it is. If you, as a leader, are constantly exhausted, the problem isn't your people's attitude. It's almost certainly the system you've designed.
Absolutely. And we saw how those 4 causal chains systematically chip away at energy, autonomy, and purpose, leading to those predictable symptoms of stagnation, fear, burnout, and frustration.
And the solution isn't more effort from the hero. It's a fundamental shift to becoming the architect.
It is, and we talked quite a bit about that martyr leader, the one who rewards sobre esfuerzo, that visible suffering. So here's a final thought, something provocative for you to chew on.
Okay, let's hear it.
If commitment in your current environment, maybe your team, your company, is primarily defined by who stays the latest or who looks the most stressed, ask yourself, what specific, unnecessary muda, what waste, what friction are you or are your colleagues performing right now? Is it pointless reports? Is it performative meetings? What are you doing purely to signal loyalty and commitment in that broken system? And what's the real cost of that muda?
Wow. That's a powerful question about the hidden tax of a bad culture. Really makes you think about performative work.
It does. And maybe building on that, here's a small challenge. Pick just one of those protocols of non-intervention we discussed. Maybe it's the solutions required P&I to fight that centralization bottleneck.
Okay, pick one P&I.
And commit to applying it tomorrow.
Sure.
The very first time that recurring issue, that familiar bottleneck, hits your desk, try the P&I instead of the hero reflex.
To see what happens.
Exactly. How quickly could that one simple systemic rule start to change the dynamic? Could it shift the conversation? Could it begin, even in a small way, to eliminate some of that costly, frustrating waste?
It underlines the main point, doesn't it? The answer isn't another pep talk or you working even harder.
No. The solution is system design. Making that shift from hero to architect isn't just about saving your own sanity. It's how you claim a real, lasting legacy, not just temporary, exhausting success.
A powerful way to end it. Thanks for that deep dive.
My pleasure. Lots to think about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Till next time.